Hey everybody, welcome back to Food Deconstructed. On this episode, we're deconstructing the apple pie. And this recipe is actually apple and onion rings. Now, when I think about desserts, a lot of the time I think about county fairs for some reason. And when I think about county fairs, I think about fried food. So I thought, why not try and combine everything together and make some apple onion rings, and also make some onion rings along the way as well. So the first thing we're gonna do is start with our batter. And we're gonna start with a kind of a beer batter of our own, but we're gonna use a little bit of hard apple cider to kind of stay in the theme of things. So the first thing we're gonna do is take one egg white. I'm gonna whisk this until it's nice and foamy. Ooh. Not trying to whisk this up into any type of soft, medium peak or anything like that. Just kind of get a nice froth to it. It's about good right there. Next, we're gonna add 1 cup of our hard apple cider. Love that smell. I'll whisk that in. You're gonna get a lot of foam out of that just because obviously beer will foam up. You kind of shake it up. Then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Good. Once that's all whisked together, we're going to move on to our thickening agent, our cup of all-purpose flour, along with 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar. Start with the flour first. Just going to keep whisking, one hand free for pouring, the other one for whisking. There we go. You'll see it start to thicken up immediately and become that batter that you're used to seeing. You know, things get dipped in before they get fried. Just take a little bit of salt. Once the batter looks about done for yourself, shouldn't take much whisking out of yourself at all. Should just kind of come off the whisk there. I'm gonna set this aside. So we're gonna take our Honeycrisp apple and just slice downward here until you get to the core of the apple. As thick or as thin as you want. I mean, you don't want them too thick. You know, you want them kind of, I guess, onion ring thick. Kind of give you an idea of what we're going to do as we progress. We're going to take our little slice here, put it in the center, take this little piece and right to where the core is at. That should pop out nicely for you, so. And you're gonna have your ring. So we have our apple rings. Toss the rest of this stuff, or you can save it for snacks later, whatever works better for you. And we're gonna move on to our onions. Now our onion rings are gonna be just like our apples. We're gonna cut that in half, and we're just gonna come down. And you'll see the rings automatically come out. But you won't have to worry about a cookie cutter with these. These you can just pop out on your own. So they'll immediately make rings themselves. So the onions come out nice and easy, and you should get a few depending on the size of your onion. So we're just gonna keep popping these out. And then when we come back, I'm gonna place these in the batter. I'm gonna put them in our oil. And then we'll move on to our little dipping sauce. All right, now we got our batter back in the picture, and we're going to take each of our rings here, both apple and onion, and give them a little dip. And basically we're gonna go from the batter to the frying pan. So we're just gonna take it, drop it in. You should automatically see that sizzle or that bubble you would normally see in a kind of a fryer at any type of store, or if you remember from the county fair. Now you're just going to keep an eye on these until they kind of get that golden brown color that you're looking for from an onion ring. Dropping those in. Now we're using canola oil, and it's about 375 degrees, so again, very hot. And the good thing about a bigger pot is you can throw more of these in at one time. Keep battering, keep tossing in. You can already see how quickly some of these are starting to brown up on you. Hop back over to apple. What we're gonna do as soon as these are done, I'm gonna bring them out and put them on our piece of paper towel here, let them dry off, and then from there I'm actually gonna move them onto a little bit of a baking sheet with another rack over the top of it to kind of let them cool even more. All right, we've pulled our apple and onion rings from the oil and I've let them dry a little bit. Now what I've also done is I've sprinkled a little bit of cinnamon, sugar, and salt on there to kind of add a little extra savory sweetness to them. I actually just pulled these out, so I'll give you a little demonstration. Just right over the top. Nothing too crazy. A little bit of salt. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to take all of my onion rings and pop them on my baking sheet that just kind of has a rack over the top of it. Pop it in the oven at about 400 degrees for about 10 minutes. It's going to keep them nice and crisp for you. And you know, if you're not quite the onion ring purist like I'm not, this will work just fine for you. So what I'm going to work on now is my cinnamon dipping sauce. Now the cinnamon dipping sauce is going to have 4 tablespoons of butter, 1/3 of a cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of milk, and then 1 cup of powdered sugar. Just going to whisk them together until everything comes together. Not really a thin dipping sauce per se, almost like an icing. You can see it immediately turning into that icing type texture and taking on the color of that cinnamon. A little taste. Well, that's good. It reminds me of the fair. All right, we're gonna set these aside. I'm gonna start taking some of my onion rings, putting them on my baking sheet. I'm gonna pop them in the oven, like I said, at that 400 degrees for about 10 minutes. And when I get back, I'm gonna start plating them. All right, my apple and onion rings have been sitting in the oven for about 10 minutes or so. Now it's time to plate. As you can see, I put my cinnamon dipping sauce off to the side here a little bit. And just start putting these on. A little festive napkin. As you can see, they're nice and crispy. Still a little bit of cinnamon hanging out on some of them. These are gonna be good. All right, guys, there you have it. Apple and onion rings. All right, everybody, it's time to taste this. Now I'm gonna cheat a little bit and make sure I get an apple ring. Take a little dip. It's a cross between an apple pie, an onion ring, and a funnel cake, all in one. This is by far better than I actually thought it was gonna be, so. Definitely has like a lot of the essence of the apple pie, that nice crunch. You bite into the sweet apple still. You can taste that this cinnamon dipping sauce really adds a whole nother layer to it that just kind of infuses more of that apple pie flavor. So really glad we deep fried an apple. So again, everybody, thank you for joining me on another great episode of Food Deconstructed. I'm Adrian Bustamante. Please subscribe to our channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and join us on Google+. Until next time, thank you.